Guys, welcome to Savvy Social Show with me, your host Sean. I apologise for any background noise. I am outside. However, I wanted to get this to you as soon as possible. Now, a new bill being put forward by Labour seeking royal assent. It's Public Authorities Fraud, Error and Recovery Bill. Now, this is being put forward by Liz Kendall and Baroness Sherlock. Why is this dangerous? Because people are saying innocent until proven guilty, whereas this is assuming guilty until proven innocent, the way it's worded, because they don't have to prove anything except for reasonable doubt, whereas beforehand it had to be above 50%. And what does this bill do? This gives them permission to not only view your bank accounts but access your bank accounts in case of any fraud or error. This way, Jim. Okay, you can go across if you want. And why is this dangerous? Because they've put the word error in. There's been quite a few times when I myself have flagged up errors by HMRC. One such in the past, a long while ago, where I've had back pay come in, which has meant the difference between me being paid, taking home the equivalent of £500 a week to £2,000. So what HMRC have done then is change my tax code straight away to make it seem like I'm taking home £2,000 a week. It's funny how they're not that quick when you first start a new job, how they put you on an emergency tax code until they adjust it to the correct one, because an emergency tax code means you're paying more tax. The thing with this is this error meant I contacted them, they corrected it, but I had to prove the error was on their side and not on my side. I had to prove that I was being paid this amount and that it was back pay. What happens to people when they're given it permission to just access and take money from your account? What happens when people on benefits, because there's been an error with benefits before. There was a long time ago, when I was on benefits. I'm no longer am, and when people rely on them just to feed themselves, and because my employer at the time had submitted the wrong figures, it took me months to get it sorted out. But under this new legislation, this will give them the right to not just take the money out of your account, but if you have no money in your account, out of yours and a partner's account, because it gives them access to a joint account. And I don't feel it's right. One minute. Now, I've come across plenty of errors in the past where there have been bank errors with benefits agency, with employers, or with HMRC, to the point where HMRC has had to pay me compensation because the errors have been so bad. Okay. And but under this bill, they won't have to pay compensation because the onus is currently on you to either prove the error is wrong or wait for the correction to be rectified by someone else. Of course, I never wanted to wait for someone else to correct an error in case they didn't. But now, this isn't just about correcting an error. This gives them permission to go into your bank account and take the money. Bear in mind, there are currently laws in place that state if they have made an error, say with council tax, and they don't claim it back within a certain length of time, then they're only allowed to go back a certain amount of time. I think it's 3 years, but I may be wrong on that. But the fact of the matter is, there is a cut-off period. But with this bill, it will allow them to go back as far as they want, unless you take them to court, which will be expensive and long and drawn out, and that money will be out of your account during that period, whereas currently no money will be out of your account until they take you to court for the money. And then you will be a massive disadvantage. I think this bill just goes to show again, Labour, who I supported, holding my hands up here, have shown they are no longer supporting the people. And we've now gone from a two-party state, and this is the real reason why reform has grown. I do not like reform. I do not like Farage, but you can see the reason why. I will not vote for reform. I'm sorry for those of you who do. But I cannot vote for Tory, and right now Labour will not get in next time either. And that's why Reform are the next biggest one. The Lib Dems, they got in before, and they chose the Tories when they could have had the coalition with the Labour. And then they went against their only pledge. Yeah, you can cross, gentlemen. And so, tell me what you guys think. Do you think it's dangerous, or do you think it's a good idea? Don't forget to hit the like button, comment in the box below, subscribe, and share with anyone you think would like to see this. I'm just flabbergasted. It would have taken very little for this government to have been in power for generations, and yet from the moment they got in, they have just alienated everyone. They didn't even have to do much. They only had to do one thing, one big thing per year or term. They only had to set out a stall saying, right, this is what we're going to do, and do it. Yet the money they spent and the things they've gone, it's just ridiculous, really. And I don't understand what they think they're going to achieve. or who they think they're kidding. You see the ministers falling down in interviews. I will put a link to this down below. Don't forget to check out the other links with where you can pick up a free share worth up to £200, signing up and depositing a small amount, and there's a number of other freebies such as free printing, free Wi-Fi, loads of other freebies, all that I use myself. I use Trading 212 for my ISA, I use Freetrade, my general investing, I use Lightyear for the interest on my account, and Invest Engine because you get Vanguard ETFs cheaper than Vanguard. Now, I'm genuinely worried for the direction we're going in. They're taking medical conditions off of PIP. I've heard from people saying they've been taken off of universal credit, even though they're coming in under the savings and investments bracket, just because they've got a mortgage on their property. Now, instead of renting and getting housing allowance, so they are in effect saving the taxpayer from paying housing allowance by putting their universal credit towards a mortgage because they want the security, or they had a mortgage before they went on it and they don't want to get kicked out of their house, and because they're struggling to pay the mortgage, which the universal credit does not fund, or the housing allowance does not fund, they're seen as having an asset or an investment. And they're getting kicked off the universal credit. It's just deplorable the way this government is acting. They are becoming more Tory than the Tories. And they say it's because the state of the economy. The economy is doing well. The markets are doing well. They're still going up. GDP is still going up. What's not doing well is how much money is in the coffers, because people like this Baroness, who's head of DWP, works on pensions, and all these MPs, because they keep giving themselves pay rises and all the expenses they get. When I was at a workshop and I challenged local MP, and he said, would I do the job for nothing? I said yes, because I hear the expenses are quite lucrative. And whenever one is found guilty of fraud, like taking a brown envelope, they don't get charged, they don't get sent to prison. So why are they not held to a higher standard than we are? That is a question I would like answered. Because they should be held to a higher standard. They should be the ones showing us the way we're supposed to behave. Let me know in the comments what you think. Before we go, let's look at some instances. For instance, these are ones that I've dealt with in myself. We have the one where you have an overpayment made by a benefits agency. We've had one where someone who lived there previously, and we're talking about 5 years previously, has then gone to another property, has left owing council tax, so no forwarding on address, so they've gone back to the previous address to issue a council tax demand, even though she doesn't live there, just to go fishing to see if she lives there. Now, all of these are considered errors. There's even ones where someone of the same name in the same postcode could be considered an error. Now, these are errors that happen, and what they'll do is they will put an order in to your bank, which will freeze the account until the order goes through or is decided upon, and one way or another. And what will happen is, if there's not enough money in the account to cover it, they will then go to your joint accounts. Now, say for instance you and your partner, and you know nothing about this, they won't even notify you at the time, because it might be by letter, or that they send something out which could take a couple of weeks, or they might just not notify you, and so then they could end up doing it to your joint account, so you would know nothing about anything that's going on, and they could suspend your account, so no money could come out, and then because of that your council tax is not coming out, so then they'll do the same with all your other accounts, which then means they can suspend your driving licence, because as far as a court would see, there's no reason why you can't be paying these bills. This is the scary scenario we have, all because of an error caused by one of these agencies, all because they want to streamline getting their money back. This is the dangerous precedent. People need to be aware of this. They need to be aware of the danger. There's a reason why there's a process in place to prevent the speedy recovery of money, especially when it's due to errors. Even with fraud, they have to prove that there's fraud.